Hi, I'm FM Sherrill, and today I'm going to be talking about Solo! A long time ago in a galaxy far away. Bah! And Millennium Falcon. Wookie. I know for a lot of people it wasn't the same because it wasn't Harrison Ford. Let's just start out with that and get that taken care of right away. Yeah, I get it. I grew up watching Star Wars alongside Indiana Jones, and when I was little, my beautiful brain decided that because at the end of the Indiana Jones series, when he drinks that cup, you have chosen wisely, and he has sort of everlasting life, I think, well, then he's lived long enough to now be in Star Wars. Like, that's just the same character. I love Westerns. I watched every kind of spaghetti Western with my grandfather growing up. It was always a really bonding thing, you know. Tombstone is one of my favorites. Doc Holliday, I'm Your Huckleberry. I really liked Indiana Jones because I felt like he was an archaeologist cowboy. You know, he had that sort of cowboy attitude, like Lone Ranger. And so I loved it. And then when he got everlasting life and then went into Star Wars world as Han Solo, he was like a space cowboy. You know what I mean? I got two guns, one for the both of you. I love that line. I use it anytime I can. So to me, archaeologist cowboy, space cowboy, I loved it. I named my dog Indy as a kid. Named the dog Indy. That's in the movie. So for me, I always wanted to see more of Han Solo. He was my favorite character. I wanted to be Han Solo / Indy when I was a kid. I wanted to also be with him. It's complicated. I wanted to have all those guns and then the whip and then the hat and then the, you know, the vest and the whole Star Wars thing. That was me, my character. So in the recent Star Wars films, when Kylo Ren kills him, I just decided in my brain that we don't see the body. He's so tough. He survived so much. You know, archaeology to space. He's not dead. I just couldn't handle it. It was basically I got killed. That was my character, my ship. Having a movie that was then just based on him was like a big relief for me, and also is my favorite character. It's like I got a little side novella, like, you want to know more about Han Solo? Like raising my hand. Yes! And yes, I know that we can't get the amazing Harrison Ford, who I loved growing up, to act in it, but you know, you don't want to do a whole movie in CGI and have it look crappy. So they just found someone to act in his place, and you can use your imagination. That's what it's for. To kind of graft Harrison Ford on there, because you're really just trying to learn more about what made him the him that we loved in those 3 original Star Wars films. And we did get a lot of cool backstory. I like that his father used to work on building, I believe he said building and making the Millennium Falcons, and never got to fly. So I think that's a nice little tidbit of a side story. Like, I can imagine like a young kid Han with his dad working on the machines and always dreaming of flying, and how that would influence him as a kid to always want to fly, and that he gets to own his own Falcon and all of that later is such a nice payoff. And it's just such a little tidbit. So I was desperately searching for those tidbits just so I could piece together kind of a cool backstory for him in my own mind. And yes, there was a lot of holes in this movie. I think I may be too much of a fan of that character to be objective, so usually I'm pretty good at being like but you gotta know it's kind of coming from somebody who, I guess I'm a Solo person. But I mean, I love all the characters from Star Wars, so, but he just happened to be the one that I grafted this is me as at a young age. So I like that they brought the dice in. And that moment when they say throw him in with the beast, I went bing, Chewie, Chewie. I wanted to like look back to see if anybody else, the audience, got it. I was like, Is it gonna happen? Is it gonna happen? And then, ah, it happens. It happens. We totally get to see him and Chewbacca finally meet. And that's a really fun moment for fans of the character and their relationship. You know, you get to see them fight and Han try and kind of outsmart him. He speaks the language. And he's like, of course I speak some of the language. Just in his sassy Han Solo way. And that was really fun too. I liked getting the sort of kismet of their meeting and then seeing how they kind of forge a bond. The shower scene with them together and Han is like, we have to do this at the same time? And I'm like, oh, I ship it. You guys are gonna be friends for so long. And the Wookiee that they're ripping the arms off, he actually does that in the scene. I'm like, oh, so, and that they had a lot of things like that the original movies had mentioned that we get to kind of see happen, which was of course gratifying for any Star Wars weirdo. Now I don't know if it's just me, but anytime in these movies they go to a dive bar, a space bar, I always get that warm fuzzy feeling. That warm fuzzy feeling. Like, you know, because all the bars and stuff in the original 3 films, it was just so cool to see all the different creatures and then the dancing, and I love that they almost have that in every film. They always go take you to some bar. I didn't like that Han's main love interest was just there. You know, he left her, he's gonna go back for her, he's got this whole mini quest inside the bigger quest, and then she's just there, and she's like, yeah, I had to do what I had to survive. And I'm like, oh, well, it's convenient. It's convenient for the writer. It's convenient to just have her there. No, you know, they could have done it a million different ways. He could have actually went there and then thought he found her and she wasn't there. They maybe heard that she was dead and had to grieve and come from the shock of, oh my God, she's dead. And then actually she's alive. Maybe she has a scar and, you know, she's this badass instead of like, I did what I could to survive. I mean, she does have kind of a, you can see her strength, but the convenience of her being there and them meeting again and it not being this like the world's on fire. And I would have liked that more too if their romance was a little bit more desperate. And it would have been nice to see maybe some flashbacks of some younger Han. You know, anime does that really well. It doesn't take a lot of time. They'll show like a 2-minute thing of the character on the floor with their mom yelling at them or something traumatic, and then we'll all of a sudden understand, oh, this is where the character's coming from in this whole arc. We got to see Luke, you know, grow up, and on the newer ones, shan't be named, but we got to see some of Vader's history. It would have been nice to see a little bit further back for me, for Han. Just, you know, some quick flashbacks. You know, he's kind of in the slums, but we don't really get to see him suffer that much. I mean, he gets punched and he's like rebelling, but we really don't get to see too much of the juice that builds him up for the main arc, which is kind of what I was hoping for. This is like kind of supposed to be the origin story, right? I mean, it's great for a mini novella. If they do like 5 more, which I would want, great, because then they can keep building, and because this is just kind of like a really small piece. So they didn't go too deep into anything other than this, you know, love interest. I do like that we see that Han constantly makes the hero decision. You know, his love interest says like, well, you're the good guy. And he's like, I am not. And that's nice because at the end of the day, he does always try and make the honest, loyal choice. He resists it at first, but you know, he does make that choice. But I also like at the end of the film, he shoots the guy first. Because that's also very Han in the fact that he's not an idiot. You know, he's like, I will forgive you and try and make this work, but at some point I gotta realize you are what you are, and I'm just not gonna let you kill me. Oh, Lando, how great was it to see him and Han together too in the poker games and then all Lando's capes. Oh, that was a custom piece. I really the only part of the film that I got teared up about was when his droid died, you know? She was such a great droid, you know, freedom for droids, or sentient beings, I found my path. That sort of underdog fighting for recognition, it's just, I think we all have felt that way, and so it really, for me, it bonded me to that character. And then for Lando to risk his life and to get shot himself and then to cry over her in his arms, it made me really like him as a character, because he saw her like she did, like, I'm sentient, I'm alive, you know, and the fact that he grieved over her like he would a lover was so nice. They could have pulled that together more again when he plugs her into the Millennium Falcon. That's why it has the best, like, GPS in space. I would have liked to that's part of why he doesn't want to let go of the Millennium Falcon, because he doesn't want to lose her again, because part of her is in the ship now, which I think they're kind of implying, but he does in the game. But we could have seen a little devastation from that to carry on that thread of connection, because they did that so well, his emotional turnaround for his droid. It was interesting to learn that Chewie at that point was 190 years old. Whoa, Chewie. I thought it was fun too to see L3 trying to bond with the other female protagonists, like, oh, Lando's into me sometimes. Sometimes I think maybe, maybe not. And little does she know that soon he's gonna, like, risk his life to save her. Aww. It was nice to hear that line, the castle run in 12 parsecs. And Chewie is like, no. And Han's like, not if you round down, buddy. You shyster. Oh, and Willow was there in the Marauder Allies cast. Did you guys notice him? Willow! Willow, you idiot! Willow! For Willow. He was there in the cast. I was like, I think he had one line at some point, and I was like, just take out your wand and fix it. I'm okay with cross genre. I wouldn't mind a little Willowness happening in Star Wars. I'm sure everybody else would mind, but Willow. So good to see that actor again. I think it would have been a more epic ending if Darth Maul had actually shown up. You know, they had his projection, and you get to see kind of the android legs maybe in there. Kira's like, my lord, or something. Just, I think that would have been more dramatic. It's always more dramatic. Instead of a whisper, to do a yell. So next time, have them show up. Overall, I love this film. It's boy meets girl, boy meets Wookiee, boy meets Falcon. That's the arc. And like I said, for me, I'm biased because it's one of my favorite characters. If you haven't seen it in theaters yet, I know this review is late, go see it. It's always worth seeing any of the Star Wars films in theaters. You don't need me to tell you that. If you want to see more reviews, go ahead and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.